Hello, so this is just going to be quite a quick video on my most used knives, and there's obviously just two for this video. So the obvious one is the Swiss Army knife, just for the reason that as well as having knives on there, it has really handy things like the Phillips screwdriver, the flathead screwdriver, the bottle opener and stuff like that. There was a thing that made me laugh recently on the radio, where a radio presenter was going to say, well, why do you need a Swiss Army knife in your pocket? Why do you need a Swiss Army knife? Oh, for the obvious reason that it's more than just a knife, it's essentially a little multi-tool. And the amount of times I'm out and about and end up needing some sort of little tool to do something, these come in very handy. But of course, I suppose the people who don't bother carrying them can't see the logic in it. They just rather be stuck and not have a way of opening a bottle or, tightening a screw if they need to or whatever else. So as I said, Swiss Army knife's pretty self-explanatory. That's pretty much an EDC knife when I carry a knife on me, just because it ends up being the most practical. It's not the best little knife at being a knife, but it is the best little one at, being a screwdriver, being a bottle opener, and everything else. So this is the one I'm actually going to recommend that I use the most around the house when I want to chop up cardboard boxes, weirdly, because of how many things, of deliveries and parcels come in those quite strong cardboard boxes. You can't really rip easily by hand because it's corrugated cardboard combined with, that parcel tape stuff. You want a sort of knife for doing it. And these Umarex ones, which I assume is the same Umarex as the airsoft company, as you can see, this one's called something like Alpina Sport. It's basically a bit of a rip-off of a Mora knife, but the nice thing with this is it's actually even cheaper than Mora knives. Now, I think I bought this in the Blades and Bows closing down sale, where they were like £4 a knife or something. And I got two of the orange and black ones. They do these in a variety of colours. Essentially what they are is kind of like these rubberised plastic handles, similar to the Moras, and then the sort of similar sort of knife. So what these are designed to be is basically just an alright quality stainless steel knife that's very cheap. If you lose it, you lose it. If you break it, you break it. But they're not expensive to replace at all. And for that, they're brilliant because you can, constantly chop up cardboard or whatever with them, and not have to worry about nicking the blade or anything like that. So yeah, these at the moment, because you can't obviously get them sadly from Blades and Bows anymore because they closed down. I did see on Google there are a couple like UK sports sites that sell them for about £5, £6, £7. I don't know if you have to pay postage on top of that or if that was with VAT included or not. But if you look at the similar Mora knives, most of the Mora knives are like £10 to £15 for the same sort of size models. And yeah, Mora's a good brand, don't get me wrong, I like Mora knives as well, but it's just the fact that these are even cheaper than Mora knives for something very similar in quality that, when you might potentially be able to get one of these for a fiver each, they're very, very handy sort of just everyday knives if you want to cut stuff up around the house, like boxes or whatever, rope, stuff like that. And so that's the reason this has become my most used knife in a way, just because the sheer amount of packaging you have to cut open that can sometimes be quite tough, for basically often cutting it up to fit it in the recycling bin, so you can cut the cardboard up, put it into flat panels, and then push it down in the bin. And with it coming up to Christmas, obviously there's a lot of Amazon and eBay orders going on at the moment where I'm getting stuff for people and having to dispose of the packaging, and that's a very good knife for it. So yeah, just a thumbs up for those Umarex knives. I've talked about these before, but yeah, I always forget how good they are as just sort of handy everyday utility type knives. And again, you couldn't legally EDC this in the UK unless you had an excuse for doing it, unlike the Swiss Army knife. But these are very good knives if you just want something for having in your house for whenever you need to do odd utility jobs that don't require a specialised knife. And with the price tag, as I said, if you break it, or you can't even be bothered to sharpen it or anything like that, for the £5 to £7 they seem to retail at, I think that's really, really acceptable. So if you know what Mora knives are, it's basically just a Mora knife, just cheaper. And in my opinion, no less in terms of quality.